All right, welcome back into another episode of Indiebnb. Today we are joined by Austin Miller from Atlanta. Austin, how we doing, man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Well, Austin, and we've gotten in touch. I saw you at the Medium Build show last year, and of course we've had your brother on. I believe it's the first brother combo in
Love it.
Indiebnb history.
Love
So
it. That's awesome.
yeah, of course, Kyle, his brother, is the the booker for Zero Mile. We talked to a little while back, and of course, Austin himself makes some music. He mentioned to me last year that he wanted to be on the show. And now we're making it happen. So excited about it.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome, man. Well, want to kick it off with just like you've got, obviously your brother's in the business. You've made music in the past. So like, as you kind of, lately, like what's been the pieces that have been inspiring you to kind of continue creating and going through that.
Just finished up the album that I've been slowly releasing, and that was a several year long affair that involved a lot of people, and it was kind of this thing that was out of reach for a long time, and finally got that finished. And now that I'm just starting to release it, I'm just trying to share it with as many people as possible.
I love it. Love it. We'll dive into one of the songs off the album Navigator in just a bit here, but kind of backing up, you and Kyle growing up in Florida, like what's the impetus for you to start making music? Like was it just listening to Tom Petty in Gainesville or
I
what's the
mean, not that far off. My dad loved Tom Petty, so like Tom Petty was a staple growing up, along with Neil Young, Jackson Brown, Steely Dan, all that stuff. And I started writing music freshman year of college when I got exposed to Bob Dylan, which my dad wasn't keen on Bob Dylan for whatever reason. But that was kind of the impetus for me to start writing. And like I'd played guitar for a while, but I never thought that I would write or sing until I guess I heard Bob do it. Then thought, hey, I could do that. Why not?
I love it. Did you when you were in college, were you playing like college gigs? Did you kind of when you started writing kept to yourself for a little bit or did you start live scene right away?
Um, Not right away, but pretty soon after. Yeah, I went to University of Central Florida, UCF, and they had this event every year called Tent City, where a bunch of people just like camped out in the middle of campus for a week, and that was one of my first gigs. So that was a lot of fun.
Love it. I love it. So were you playing like mostly originals at Tent City, or did we have a
Man,
varying set list?
that was a very long time ago. I think it was about half and half at the beginning because
Yeah.
I only had like a handful of songs for a while, and yeah, it took me a while to like really build up the repertoire. So yeah, a little bit of both at the beginning.
I got you. I got you. Well, after you graduated, like, did you continue writing, or like, what kind of when you moved to Atlanta, did it kind of continue to go, or what was the next step after that?
Yes. So as soon as I got done with college, I went full speed ahead. I was like, I couldn't wait to graduate because I just wanted to start pursuing music full time right away. And that's what I did. I started, writing, performing, touring as much as possible. Yeah, my first full year out of college, I clocked 100 shows, and then up until the pandemic, I was doing at least 100 shows a year until then. I only moved to the Atlanta area a few years ago, and yeah, I've been touring pretty consistently for about 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of the places you've been, I mean, have you played the same places multiple times, or you feel like you've gone and had a varying, like, kind of a
A little bit
widespread
of both.
view?
I like doing both. I like going back to the same places where they know you and you kind of know what to expect. And I also love going into somewhere that I've never been before, and you don't know what to expect, and it might get weird. And it's a bunch of people who have no idea who you are. So yeah, I try to do a little bit of both as much as possible.
Gotcha. Well, what kind of tours have you been on headlining tours? Like where are some of the places that kind of stick out to you as like places you love going to and that are some of your favorite venues?
Man, there's a lot in Florida, just because I grew up there and I have a lot of family and friends there. So like whenever I go do the Florida tours, that's always just kind of like a reunion because I see a bunch of people that I don't get to see very often. The European touring is always amazing. There's something amazing about every country that I've been to over there. There's not many. I don't. I very rarely leave somewhere and be like, oh, I don't ever want to go back there. It's like there's pretty much everywhere has their redeeming quality. Yeah, and I love Alaska and the Pacific Northwest, and you know, big cities, small towns, wherever will have me. That's pretty much where I go.
I love it. I love it. Well, anybody you've toured with that you feel like has you learned a lot from, from the just being on the road with them and kind of getting some pieces from the act or
Yeah, so it's mostly been DIY touring or working with like smaller agents. So I haven't done like many like big support tours. But when I first started, I met this guy. His name's Christopher Bell. He was already doing it. Like when I met him, while he was on a tour date in Florida, and he does like a looping cello thing, and he was like going at it pretty hard. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want to keep. That's what I want to start doing. And then yeah, now Chris is one of my closest friends, and we keep in touch. And he's played on all my albums, and he's done some mixing and mastering for me in the past. Um, but yeah, he was definitely one. I didn't have many many like mentors when I was starting to get into it. But if I did have any, it was definitely Chris because he definitely helped me like start getting out there a little bit more.
awesome. That's awesome. Always good to have somebody else kind of like give you a little bit of the lay of the land prior
Yeah.
to kind of getting into it. But well, cool. Well, like, I want to kind of dive in, switch gears a little bit and dive into, the current album and, what you have, in store. Obviously, you said it's a couple years in the making. So like, I guess for you, what's been the journey to kind of get it to where it is today, where you're almost releasing it?
Yeah, so I this is an album that I kind of had like a specific vision for all the songs for like a really long time, and it was definitely a bigger it required a bigger production than like anything I'd ever done before. I needed to get the right players, I needed to be in the right room, I needed to have the right equipment, I needed to be in the right mindset, and I didn't have any of those things for a really long time, and eventually it all started falling into place and I was able to make it happen.
That's awesome. So you talk about like kind of the right players. So like, do you feel like there's a lot of specific types of studio people you look for that you're like, hey, like this is a person that I want to work with? Obviously, Chris, maybe
Yeah,
being one of
yeah,
those folks, but like, was it difficult to find some of those people for this one, or like what's
yeah. And I feel like I'm a little picky when it comes to all that. So I'm sure I could have done it easier with some other people. Yeah, I guess when it comes to the studio musicians, it's like it's for me it's a really fine line between like being good at what you do, like being talented, and but also like not necessarily sounding like you're a studio musician because a lot of those guys are really talented, but it doesn't what a lot of times what they're playing doesn't really feel personal. So I wanted to find people who like it at least sounded like they had been playing with me for a long time, and that were like more of a band instead of like just having some Nashville musicians come in for the session and knock it out of the park as quickly as possible.
got it, got it. Well, one of the songs, I wanted to kind of highlight, and of course, we talked about it prior, but Navigator, it kind of gave me a little bit of a maritime feel. I got that kind of
Good,
like
good. All right.
we're going on a boat feel for it. So
Yes.
take me through, I guess, the creation from nothing to something for Navigator and how you were inspired, came up with it, all the jazz.
Yeah. So before I moved up to the Atlanta area, living in Florida, so I kind of had this best friend growing up. His name's Andrew, and his mom is really into boats. So on several occasions, she was kind of like in the boat biz. So she was um, kind of always transporting boats between one place to another. and because she had a lot of friends, so that was just one of the things she did. And then yeah, a handful of times she asked me and my friend Andrew to like give her a hand on moving a boat from wherever it needed to go, and yeah, a lot of times it was like for a few days or a week, so um, it was definitely like a different world than what you're used to, because just seeing the world through the waterways of Florida instead of on land is just a whole other experience. So yeah, we anytime we did that, we just like met lots of cool characters. So I guess the song is kind of a nod to all the cool characters we met on those trips.
Wow. I mean, we talking like, hook hand people? We talking, peg legs? Or I guess I'm thinking pirates
Yeah,
for right now, but
you're not too far off. My friend Andrew and I, we always we coined, well, we didn't coin it, but we used the word salty a lot. It was a lot of salty characters. It was a lot of people who were just like totally detached from the rest of the world, doing their own thing. Yeah, not quite like the pirate, but you're not too far off with that.
you're modern day pirate,
Yes,
not a lot of
exactly.
sunscreen being used, it sounds like maybe.
No, no. Unfortunately, a lot of people probably need it.
Wow. Wow. So we're inspired by the, the maritime and the the characters and salty characters of the Florida waterways. Like, for you creatively, whenever you were, is that inspired the lyrics, or did it inspire, pretty much the whole, whole entire, even the musical part of it as well?
Yeah, so that those trips, there's another song on the album that's also inspired by that. So it's yeah, I have two songs that I wrote about those trips, and yeah, at least for Navigator, that I kind of wanted, there's like the intro and the outro bit, and I kind of wanted those especially to like just kind of feel like you were floating on the water, and I really wanted the outro just to like feel like you were just like sailing off into the sunset kind of thing. So I tried to make it as appropriate to the song as possible.
Now, for, just the nuts and bolts when you were creating, like, did you sit down in the studio and you're like, all right, we're thinking waterways. Let's just, and just you kind of, zoned out, or did you talk to Andrew and like, hey, do you remember that guy we talked to that one time? Like, so what kind of jogged your memory and getting the lyrics and everything in place?
So I guess it wasn't necessarily like a conscious decision at the very beginning, and I guess kind of going back to the recording process. So each song on the album, I started one of two ways. So I started with me in a rhythm section, all of us in the room together, like recording, guitar, drums, and vocals simultaneously, just so it like got that like natural rhythm. Or I started with just me and my guitar, recording guitar and vocals simultaneously instead of doing them separately. Um, so yeah, Navigator was one that I started by doing my guitar and vocals together, and then that was one that I thought a lot about and kind of changed my mind back and forth about like the instrumentation that I wanted to do with it. Um, yeah, I changed my mind a lot, and eventually, yeah, I landed on my friend Chris played cellos and Kyle played upright bass. Um, I felt like the kind of the mini string section suited it the best, I think.
All right. So we got a little mini string action. So for the European tour, like when you go out and play Navigator, what is the, what's the adjustment? Is there adjustments to it for a live set, or is it, going to be, hey, I'm going to find some touring folks to run with me on this and do it?
So I'm doing most of my touring now with my partner Amanda Esposito, who also has a new album out that I played and produced on. It's We're really happy with how it turned out, and we kind of both worked on our album simultaneously. And she was very involved in mine, and she sang harmonies on that song. So yeah, the European stuff that we're doing this summer is all together. So it's yeah, it'll be a duo thing this summer.
Very cool. Very cool. So it'll be you and her both on stage
Yes.
simultaneously. That'll be very good. Um, for Navigator, you kind of wrapping it up, like, you know, is it, is it, where is it on the album? Is it, the third song? Is it something that say, middle of it, or we rounded it off
Yeah,
with
it's
Navigator?
the second to last.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
kind of in the back.
Yeah, yeah. And I felt like, it's kind of like a journey kind of song. So I felt like it kind of needed to be, yeah, as things were kind of wrapping up and concluding.
We had some another artist, Nisa was talking about, the way that albums are, written and taken into like is there an order, for you whenever you were ordering the songs like on the album? Like, did you obviously put some thought into like, hey, like this one's a journey, this one's the end, the beginning part. So like how do you break that down, and how do you kind of decide those things?
Ooh, man, that's a really good question. It's definitely something that I think about a lot, and I think it's for me, it's always kind of in the back of my mind. And when I was doing this last album, I kind of knew that like that was something I wanted to really be mindful of. And then yeah, I kept it in the back of my mind. And as I was working on the album, kind of starting to wrap things up, I was like, okay, I should decide an order. And then, I think since I waited so long and kind of thought about it for so long, I wrote the order in like 10 seconds. So I guess the process of starting to wrap the album up kind of gave me some clarity about where I wanted all the songs to go.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've now like since they said that, like I've now every album I listen to, I'm like, all right, I got to give it at least one in order listen
And
just to get the artist feel.
I think that's another big thing for me is because I love listening to when I listen to music, I love listening to an album from start to finish, and
Yeah.
that definitely I'm an album guy, like listening and writing. So yeah, that's definitely something that made it a little extra important for me.
Interesting. Well, kind of in the same vein, like talking about your live set, as you're going to Europe, you and your partner, like when you're coming up with the varying set lists from day to day, and like how you want to, is that based on how we're feeling? Hey, we have a weird lunch, let's change the song orders, or like, hey, like we've got these are the kind of the place, and like when you come up with that set list, like how is that done, for you at
Um,
least?
we very rarely make anything that's a set list. We pretty much just get up there and figure it out and kind of play off how the audience is feeling, and we're all about the conversation and the banter between songs, and we try to incorporate other people, the audience, into it as much as we can. And yeah, we kind of kind of always just go on the fly and figure it out, kind of thing.
Oh my gosh. I'm such a type A that I'd be losing my mind if I didn't have a like an order that I knew was gonna happen. And like,
I think for me, just because I've played the songs, like some of them I've played probably close to 1,000 times, I'm just like, at this point, it's just kind of second nature. But I mean, it's in most other ways, I am a very strict planner, and I like to know what I'm doing ahead of time. But
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like doing that is more fun, at least for me. And I think that it gives the audience the impression that it's not, I guess, not just the impression. I guess it makes them feel like they're getting kind of a unique show, and
yeah,
I think that's really important to to not feel like it's just cookie cutter and you're doing the same thing every night. Like we want it to be memorable. We want it to feel unique to wherever we are. So I think that helps us do that a lot.
yeah. Well, hopefully over in Europe, there's nobody just screaming out Freebird the whole time. I mean,
No one has ever done that. That is a strictly American thing.
that's what I figured. I mean, now look, I'm not gonna say I'm not guilty yelling it, I'm not gonna say that because I definitely have. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's
think
it's it's becoming a little too common recently. It's like it's kind of hard to avoid now.
how do you deal with that? I mean, are you gonna go like what's your
Oh,
what's your rebuttal to
if
a Freebird request?
if someone heckles me, I'll heckle them right back. I turn it right back around on them, and I try to come up with something
Yeah.
witty. Like I think once someone said it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, so you want to hear my song Tree Bird? Yeah, I wrote a new song called Tree Bird. This is that song kind of thing." Um, yeah.
I love it. I love it. good to have one that rhymes with it there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
planned it.
exactly.
I love it. I love it. Well, that's good. I want to understand, booking the tour dates in Europe. I talked to my one of our other colleagues, Jameson Tank, and like, he does booking, and he was talking about how hard it is to plan. They went over to Colorado, and he's sitting there. He had never played there before, so he's cold emailing, and talking to venues. So, um, for you when you're doing that in Europe, like, did you book your own tour? Did you work with somebody to do that, or like, how did that all come to be?
Yeah, so occasionally, depending on which tour and which countries I've gone to, like I've worked with some other people to kind of help book some of the shows. This one that we're going on this summer is all self-booked, so we've done it all ourselves, and it's definitely a pretty huge undertaking, and it's very time-consuming and a lot of computer time. But yeah, we've done a little bit of both over the years.
Yeah. Well, with like, language barrier, anything like that come up during that, booking process, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's definitely been a couple times where um, whoever I got a hold of, we were clearly both using Google Translate, and there was one show a couple years ago in that actually we didn't end up playing. It didn't end up working out, but it was in Luxembourg, which they speak a bunch of languages in Luxembourg. But the lady we were talking to spoke French, and like after like 8 or 9 emails, I was just like, okay, I have like no idea what's happening, and I had to rope in one of my friends who lives in Belgium, who's fluent in French. I had to tag him in to kind of help me sort out what's going on. I don't run into that very often, but sometimes it's like, yeah, we're just hoping Google Translate is doing the right thing here.
Yeah. Well, with the I mean, even with like you're going across the different continents or the different, I guess you're getting paid in euros for the most part in all places, but I'm sure there's some places where you're like, all right, like I got to figure out what the exchange rate is. So, like, all right, like w I have an idea of the money I want, but then I don't know what it is in this,
Yeah,
capacity.
and I think for our tour this summer, if I'm going off the top of my head, I'm doing it correctly. We're going to be dealing in 4 different currencies this summer, so it is a lot to keep up with, and then yeah, figuring out what to do with all that when you get back, and who's going to rip you off the lease kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's definitely more logistics than just hopping in your car and doing a US kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, when you do hop in a car and do US stuff, like I'm sure, you're cold. You're probably emailing folks you've been working with since obviously got so much experience. I mean, you did 100 shows. You said you were doing 100 shows a year up until 2020. So like, I
Yes.
mean, you've probably got, hundreds of contacts at this point of like,
Yeah, yeah.
every
So
booker in the Southeast and across the country, I'm
yeah,
sure.
but we still try to work in new places too, and
Mhm.
especially after the pandemic, which has kind of killed so many venues and whatnot. Kind of had to start over from scratch in a few places, but yeah, the closer that it is to home, it's more likely that I know what we're getting into.
I got you. Well, what about here in Atlanta? Any venues here that stick out that you played that you're like, man, I'd love to go in there.
Love the Earl. We love going out to Athens to do the Georgia Theater rooftop.
Yeah,
Um, so we Amanda and I live in Marietta, which is a little bit north. There's this little bar like 5 minutes away from us called the Third Door that we play at pretty regularly, and it's one of our, that's kind of like our home venue, if you will, just because
yeah.
it's so close, and we play there pretty frequently. So, yeah.
When you were preparing for the tour in Europe, like was it all right, hey, we're gonna get a couple US tour dates, work out the show. I think about it like, sometimes I hear about stand-up comedians, like they'll go, they'll do a ton of clubs, prior to, doing, their major, their stadiums and things like that. So like were you playing at Third Door a fair amount? Like the people who've gone and seen you there, like have they heard some of the songs on the new album already?
Oh yeah, and a lot of songs on the new album I've been playing for years and years at this point. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I guess in that aspect, kind of our our setup is a little different than when we go to Europe over here. Because when we're playing down the street at the third door, we can bring as many guitars and amps as we want, kind of thing. When we go to Europe, we're gonna do just one guitar and one little keyboard, and we haven't even done a set with just those things yet. And we've started practicing,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I guess that's another one of those things. We'll just figure it out as we go, kind of thing.
I love it. I love it. Y'all are gonna get you're gonna get the full just y'all gonna get it right in a few shows. Like
I hope so. I hope
yeah.
so.
I love it. Well, let's jump into Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. I've been
Yeah.
grilling you on the on some of the toughies with the touring stuff. I want to get you rolling on some of these. A little bit these are a little bit easier, a little bit softer landing spots here, but Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. It's 20 questions right in a row, and we're going to start right now. Cake or pie? Let's go.
Pie.
He's going pie. All right. Salad or soup?
Ooh, I'll go with salad.
He's going salad. All right. Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing
S-
more of these days?
Sunset, definitely.
All right. All right. I like it. Would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Touchdown.
Touchdown. All right. Football guy. I like it. Night in or night out? What are you having more of?
Definitely, unless we're gigging, it's a lot more nights in.
Nights in. All right. If you do go out and jam comes on, are you more likely to hit the robot or the worm?
Oh, probably neither, but I feel like I can't say that, so I've probably jokingly done the robot at least a couple times for like a half a second, but
Okay. All right. All right.
not much of a dancer.
Fair enough. Fair enough. When you do go to your favorite Tex-Mex spot in Marietta, guac or queso? What are you starting off with?
Guac,
He's guacking it up. All right. Waffles or pancakes in the morning time?
waffles.
Okay. Coffee or tea with your waffles?
Love both, but gotta go with coffee.
Coffee, man. All right. Dogs or cats?
There's a dog about 10 feet to my left, so I feel like I'm obliged to say dog.
He's a dog man. All right. Are you more like a ninja or a pirate?
Ooh, I I I feel like I could go either way. I have a lot of people tell me I feel like I unknowingly sneak up on people and surprise them. Um, so I guess in that way I'll go with ninja, but I have two new songs on my album about boats, so maybe pirate. I don't know.
All right. I like it. Kind of a combo. Kind of a
Yeah.
combo. You're a salty ninja, if
Yeah,
you
so I will take it. Yeah, that's the perfect answer.
All right. Gatorade or Powerade?
Gatorade, Florida, got to represent.
Got to represent. I like it. Toast or bagels?
As long as it's a properly done one, definitely bagel.
Bagel. I love it. All right. Chips or pretzels?
Ooh. I guess since there's more different kinds, I'll go with chips.
All right. Going with the variants. Fries or tots?
You can't go wrong either way, but I love a good tot. I love the texture.
All right. I like it. Tater tots it is. TV show or movies when you have a night in? What are you unwinding with?
Um, Usually a TV show, usually either Jeopardy or a rerun of The Office, which I've seen like 1,000 times at this point.
I am in the same boat. I do the same thing. I love Jeopardy, but The Office also, Parks and Rec, all those different
Yep,
pieces that
yep,
I get to
that too.
play.
Yeah.
Are aliens real?
Maybe, you know, I'm probably not the right person to ask. Maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson or someone probably has a better explanation than that than I do.
All right, fair enough.
But yeah,
Big
I guess I'm an alien agnostic.
He's an alien agnostic. He believes it's possible, but
Yeah,
he hadn't seen it. He hadn't seen it
yeah,
yet. I
yeah.
like it. Bigfoot. Is that real?
Um, no.
Nope.
I haven't taken a dive into that at all. I maybe should watch a YouTube video or two first before I decide. But off the top of my head, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah. What about love at first sight? Is that real?
Um, maybe I don't know. For me, I would say no.
No. Okay.
I mean, you can have a good hunch at first sight, but I think love is taking it a little too far, maybe.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. This is the last question. Pete Peterson's Party Pack questions. You've nailed it, Austin. Give me two bands that we might not know that we ought to check out. Yeah.
Hmm. Can I take a second on this one?
Of course. Of
Okay.
course.
I want to just pull up my Spotify because
Yeah.
I want to have some good ones for this.
Yeah. It's not uncommon. The Spotify pull up for this one. I've
Okay. I saw him. It was the last concert I went to last week. Emperor X. His name. It's just a solo project of this guy Chad. He's brilliant. He does lots of cool things with all sorts of instruments, and he's written a lot of great songs and always puts on a great show. And he's a really great guy as well. So yeah, Emperor X. And for the second, um, I will go with Anna Tivell. Um, she's an insanely underappreciated songwriter. I think she's like one of the best doing it right now, and she's gotten a little recognition, but not nearly as much as I think she deserves. And yeah, she just writes a song so well, and definitely inspires me to continue writing.
I love it. Anna Tivell.
Yes,
Tivel.
yes.
All right. We got it right. Anna spelled Anna. Goodness gracious. Well, Austin, you absolutely destroyed Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. I think there will be no more uh no more this or that's, to be had here. You've obliterated it, but
Thank you, thank you.
um best of luck on the tour. Obviously want to get your dates out there for the album release and everything. So what's gone what's coming up for you?
May 10th is the full length album. It's called Doing It Wrong. And then, yeah, in early June, we will set off for Europe.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, everybody check them out May 10th on all things streaming. Check out Navigator now. Get you a little bit of a salty tune if you're feeling, you're by the sea. It's getting to
Yes.
be that time of year. We're going down to a body of water.
Definitely
Get
put
on a
it on if
boat.
you're near a body of water.
Yeah.
That's what it's there for.
You're near a boat, put it on. So
Yes.
Navigator, and then May 10th, we'll get the full length album, Doing It Wrong. Um, Austin Miller, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Of course.